The Adventurer's Log 1.1110.20. Hi, I'm Bobby. I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about the current war. But before we get to that, let's talk about this day in tech history. On November 10th, 2001, Apple ships the first iPod, the device that changed the course of both the music and technology industries. Of course, at the time, most experts could only focus on the fact that other devices cost less and may have had some impressive technical specs, sort of like they do today. I guess when it comes to experts in Apple devices, they haven't learned their lesson just quite yet. All right, on to our movie, The Current War, the 2017 dramatized biography of Edison, Westinghouse, and Tesla. As someone who has connections to the electrical world, well, we all do, but I am a licensed electrician, so I found this movie very, very enjoyable because it talks about Edison and Westinghouse and Tesla. And the unique thing is it focuses more on Westinghouse, which was a big deal at the time because Westinghouse was the first person to incorporate alternating current as opposed to Edison, who was pushing the direct current. Direct current works really well for machines, computers, mics, just about everything. Alternating current works better for long distance. And Edison was very, very much in the past, also in the movie, a opponent to alternating current because it was dangerous. Well, with all aspects of electricity, it's dangerous. If you don't respect it, it could kill you. And so there's several points. Actually, a major plot point of the movie is that Edison keeps talking with the media, the journalists and all that, saying alternating's dangerous, alternating's dangerous, alternating's dangerous. It could kill someone. Well, through about the first half of the movie, we don't ever actually see that. We see Edison, he puts together a Westinghouse alternating dynamo together and proves his point that alternating current is dangerous, and he puts Westinghouse on the name of it. And at this time, it was very, very common, not very common, but it's fairly common that alternating and direct current, different dynamos, they were out there. It's just whether or not someone had the money to go through and basically play with them. So Edison specifically held several different journalist meetings or press meetings, whatever, where he killed animals with Westinghouse's alternating current. And there's a gentleman in the movie who's actually a real person in real life, or was, that was a big proponent for humane terminations or humane killings in the sense of the electrical chair. And so he works in secret with Edison to put together the very first electrical chair execution style. And that gentleman had been given instructions by Edison to burn all of his letters and burn all the correspondence, basically showing that he has no ties to this. But he didn't, because it was a letter from Edison. And so throughout it, you've got the two different parties who are trying to prove across the nation that alternating's better or that direct is better. And we see numerous cities and states going to either Edison or Westinghouse to push if their electricity was better or whatever. And Westinghouse's was cheaper. The alternating current was cheaper. That was the big issue, because you don't need to have wires every 50 feet. You could run a good distance with alternating current and not be strangled by electrical copper wiring. And they bring Tesla into the story because at the time, Tesla originally worked for Edison, and they had a falling out. They had originally agreed on a certain price to be paid, and Edison didn't pay him. Edison said, "Oh, that was just a joke. I wasn't really serious about that." And so Nikola Tesla left, and he tried to create his own electrical company, which was the big deal at the time. And he survived for a little while until the father of one of his shareholders, who was actually paying for his company, came in and said, "You're done." And so Tesla left. And he went and wrote a paper and did a presentation on how alternating current was the better of the two options for the distance. And he even wrote out manuals on how to make alternating more efficient, but also safer, and have the ability to run big equipment. Because at the time, only direct current could run big cranes, big machines, all of that. So Westinghouse found him and basically hired him and said, "I'll give you $2 for every horsepower you make work on your dynamo." And, during the conversation, Nikola Tesla was like, I'm asking for $10,000 for my plans. And then he cuts it down to $1,000. And Westinghouse laughs at him. And, Nikola Tesla's like, "Oh my goodness." And Westinghouse says, like I just said a second ago, "I will give you $2 for every horsepower you make." And so if the dynamo motor or whatever made 20,000 RPMs, he had $40,000 right there. So it was a big deal. And the deciding factor over what was the popular choice was the World's Fair of the 1893 World's Fair, I think it is, in Chicago. Different bids had been put in to light up the whole fair. And Edison had put in a bid, and Westinghouse had put in a bid. And Edison's people went in and said, "Well, if you use Westinghouse, it's gonna be very, very dangerous. Any mother, woman, either woman, mother, child, man, anybody of importance might lean up against a pole and get killed." Well, then the people who were head of that board deciding which company won asked Edison's man, "Well, what's the most dangerous?" And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of anything above this megajoule or this mega amp or milliamp or whatever, I think it's milliamp, is dangerous. And the guy asked him, "Well, does that mean Edison's, direct current's dangerous?" He looks and goes, "Oh no." And mentally, I could hear him saying, "Oh man, I messed up. Why did I say that?" But the World's Fair in Chicago of 1893, I think that's what it was, went ahead and used Westinghouse to light up the whole fair. And so, you see the different people putting in the lights and setting it all up. And then you see the mayor of the city crank on the power. Well, at that exact same time, the first human who was executed by electrical shock as criminal punishment, was also killed at that time. And the news had already shown that Edison had a hand in creating that electrical chair. So issues happened to where the gentleman didn't die humanely. And so more scandal happened. And there was really only, before that, there was really only one point where it looked like Westinghouse was going to fail. His right-hand man, who was the genius behind Westinghouse's electrical side of the company, was working on an alternating current dynamo, and he took 2 wires off and was doing something, and as they're laying on the desk, because the cables were twisted, they shifted and they switched positions, which means the polarity flipped. And if the polarity flipped at that point when he turned it on, that's how he got killed, because he didn't have something labeled correctly or labeled different from the other one. That is the big deal there. So if you're not careful with electricity, it can kill you, plain and simple. And Westinghouse and Edison's company was absolved by General Electric. And I used to work for a company I used to work for GE building locomotives. Well, it was bought out by another company, that the parent company that bought out this company I worked for was bought out by this company. This company's parent company was Westinghouse. So I find this movie very fun because it's all about electrical stuff and the interactions they had, and B, the history. If you could go back and talk to Edison and Westinghouse and tell them everything that happens between then and now, they wouldn't believe you, because basically Westinghouse bought up a big chunk of General Electric, which was basically the started by Edison's power company. So I find the movie very, very enjoyable. It is slow at times. It is PG-13. Check it out. So that's all I have for you all today. Comment, like, subscribe, all that fun jazz. But take a chance and explore something new or old to you. Adventure is out there. Go find it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.